Welcome to our podcast. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of habits and how they shape our lives. Let's jump right in.
I'm really excited about this topic. So, what's the core idea we're exploring today?
Well, it's all about understanding the habit loop
Right.
and how habits are formed and changed. You know, it's based on the book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
Ah, that's a game changer. So, how exactly do habits form?
So, it starts with a cue, which triggers a routine, and then there's a reward. This loop is what creates habits. It's like when you wake up in the morning and automatically brew coffee without thinking about it.
Oh, I do that every day.
Exactly.
So, the cue is waking up, the routine is making coffee, and the reward is that satisfying first sip.
You've got it. And the interesting part is that over time, this loop becomes so ingrained that the brain actually starts to crave the reward when it gets the cue.
Oh, wow.
So, it's not just a habit, it's a neurological craving.
That's fascinating. So, are habits always good, or can they be bad too?
Well, habits can be both. The brain doesn't distinguish between good and bad habits.
Really?
It just locks them in through repetition.
So, if we have a bad habit, is it possible to change it?
Absolutely. The key
good
is
to
to
hear.
identify the cue and the reward and then change the routine. It's called the golden rule of habit change.
The golden rule? That sounds important.
It is. It's about keeping the same cue and reward but altering the routine in between. For example, if you're trying to stop snacking on junk food when you're stressed,
Yeah, that's me.
you can replace it with a healthier routine, like taking a quick walk.
So, the cue is stress, the routine is walking instead of snacking, and the reward is feeling better?
Exactly. And over time, that new routine becomes the habit.
Makes
It's all
sense.
about creating new neurological pathways.
But what about the cravings? Don't they make it hard to change habits?
That's a great point. Cravings are powerful, but when you understand them, you can redirect them. By anticipating the reward, you can make the new routine just as satisfying.
So, it's like tricking your brain?
In a way, yes.
Ha!
It's leveraging the brain's natural habit-forming process to your advantage.
That's really empowering. Do you have an example of this in action?
Sure, there's the story of Eugene Pauly, who lost his short-term memory but could still form new habits. He couldn't remember his way home, but through repetition, he developed the habit of walking around the block and finding his
Incredible.
house. His basal ganglia, the part of the brain responsible for habits, was still intact.
So, even without conscious memory, habits can guide us?
Exactly. That's the power of the habit loop. It's like our
Wow.
brain's autopilot.
I never realized how much of our lives are driven by habits.
It's pretty eye-opening. Habits make up about 40% of our daily actions, and that
Seriously?
means there's a huge potential to shape our behaviors by focusing on our habits.
So, by changing our habits, we can essentially change our lives?
Absolutely.
That's
It's all about
inspiring.
understanding the cues and rewards and being intentional with the routines we establish.
But it must take a lot of willpower to change a habit, right?
Willpower is important, but it's more about consistency.
Yeah.
Once the new routine becomes a habit, it requires much less effort to maintain.
That makes sense. So, how do we start identifying our cues and rewards?
Begin by noticing when you engage in a habit. What's happening around you?
Okay.
What's triggering the behavior? Then, think about what reward you're getting from it.
So, it's like being a detective in your own life.
Exactly. Once
Nice.
you have that awareness, you can start experimenting with different routines to see what works.
It's empowering to think we have control over our habits.
It really is. And
Yeah.
understanding this concept can lead to significant personal transformations.
Have there been studies on this?
Definitely. Companies use this knowledge for marketing, like how Febreze became a hit by tapping into people's habit loops.
Oh, interesting.
They created a craving for a clean scent after cleaning, which became the reward.
So, they changed the routine to include spraying Febreze?
Yes, by
Got it.
understanding the existing habits, they inserted their product into the loop.
That's smart marketing.
It is, and it shows how powerful habits are in influencing behavior.
True.
It applies to personal habits and within organizations.
So, what's the key takeaway from all this?
The key is that habits are not destiny.
Right.
By understanding and reshaping them, we can take control of our lives and achieve incredible things.
That's really motivating. I'm going to start looking at my own habits now.
That's the first step. And
Indeed.
remember, it's a process. Be patient and keep at it.
Thanks for breaking this down. It's been enlightening.
My pleasure. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how we can all use the power of habit to our advantage.
Definitely. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for joining us, and we hope you found this discussion helpful. Until next
Absolutely.
time.